Should I be starting the meeting now?
Yes, Kevin, go ahead.
Okay, thank
Your microphone is on mute, leader.
Come on. Right. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and may be broadcast via the authority's internet site. The images and sound recording may also be used for training purposes within the authority. First item on the agenda. Do we have any apologies for absence?
None, Chair.
Thank you. No apologies received. Item number 2. Do we have any declarations of interest?
Yes, Chair.
Thank you. Could you give your declaration, please?
Yeah.
Is that Councillor Barry?
It is.
Thank you.
I'm looking for some clarification, really. On item 9, the local transport fund, there's an element in there which talks of support for the taxi industry in terms of electric charging ports and the like. Would I still be able to be involved in the meeting? Because I'm not going to get any direct benefit from that for many years to come. But it's in there, so I'll ask the question. So, Geraint?
Monitoring Officer, can you assist? Monitoring Officer, can you hear us?
Kev, I think Alan Owen's got his hand up, and I think Alan will come in there.
Okay. Sorry, Alan Owen.
Yes, thank you, Leader. There's no guarantee that that funding will actually be approved, which would result in a direct benefit for any individual business or organisation at this point.
Do you think what we say now? Shall I declare an interest and just not vote on it, or?
My personal view is that obviously you need to declare an interest.
Yeah.
But obviously there is no guarantee to any individual or business at this point. It's actually exploring the potential of the local authority being able to access investment for.
I think in light of that, I won't participate in that part of the meeting. I won't vote. Just be on the safe side, to be honest. More people are like, but thanks, Al.
Okay, thank you, Alan. Thank you, Councillor Barry. So we are clear there that you are not going to participate in that particular item.
That's correct.
Okay, let's move on to item 3, which is the revenue and budget monitoring of 2020 to 2021 first quarter. Councillor Andrew Barry, would you like to refer to the report, please?
Thank you, Chair. Revenue budget monitoring 2019-20 quarter one. I won't dwell on the report too long. It covers a period from April to June 2020. Covered at budget board in July this year. We bring a net deficit in this report of 1.166 million, with the pace of change at present and influences on the potential settlement on the 8th of December, with the responsibility of Welsh Government to support Welsh local economies, COVID support for local authorities being lobbied for by Cabinet members and Leader, with the Senedd elections looming, and I share Andrew Morgan's confidence, the Leader of RCT, when he indicated in last Leaders meeting that you were at, Chair, he indicated that his authority should expect a similar settlement to last year. So I'll just go straight to the recommendations. The revenue budget monitoring report for the 2020-21 financial year, based on the first quarter projections, be accepted. 2.2 budget variants outlined in Appendix 2 be approved. 2.3 managers to urgently address projected budget deficits within their respective service areas, identifying all possible remedial measures to offset projected deficits, be approved. And 2.4 managers to continue to monitor all revenue budgets and immediately notify the Chief Finance Officer of potential financial difficulties, be approved. I so move, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Do we have a seconder?
Yes, Chair, I second that, along with the lovely dog in the background who is supporting us. So,
Okay, thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions? I can't see any hands up. Okay, with no questions. Do we have any observations or comments? I can't see any hands up. Okay, I don't see any comments. Can we take that to the vote, please?
Okay, would all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hand on screen? That's 1, 2, 3, 4. I can see 4, 5. That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. So that item has been carried. Thank you. Moving on to item number 4. Capital budget monitoring for 2020 to 21, quarter 1. Again, Councillor Andrew Barry to present the report, please.
Thank you, Chair. Capital budget monitoring 2020-21 quarter 1. As with the revenue report, we won't spend too long on this report other than to say the report covers a period April to June. Currently an overspend of 82,000 on core funded projects and an underspend of 5,000 on externally funded projects. We'll get the opportunity to discuss our capital programme in more depth, both during budget board and the separate workshop we're specifically looking to put together. We're looking at £17.5 million on core funded projects in the next 12 months, 14.6 million for externally funded projects, equating to nearly £33 million on capital projects. We know we have 8.5 million in the Welsh Government, out from the Welsh Government in relation to Storm Dennis, should they send us all that support through. And I know there's a later report coming, which has 13.71 million into regeneration. Congratulations for them. Huge amount of capital work. We're going to need to monitor it to ensure that it goes through smoothly and we present for the people of Merthyr those capital projects they so richly deserve. So the recommendations, 2.1, the quarter 1 capital monitoring report 2020-21 be noted, Chair. 2.2, the budget amendments for core funded projects as outlined in 4.1 below be approved, and 2.3 variances in the budget as per paragraphs 2.4 be noted. I move, Chair.
Do we have a seconder?
yes, Chair, I second that. Apologies, my camera is going in and out, but yeah, I second that.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions, please?
Yeah, no questions, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. Do we have any comments or observations? I can see Councillor Mitten's hand up. Is there anybody else?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Councillor Mitten, over to you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think it's just echo what my Cabinet member has just reiterated in those recommendations, really, but he also alluded to some fantastic capital coming through from Welsh Government and supporting us with some of those regeneration projects as well. So some exciting times ahead. I know Alan and the team are always working extremely well on, you know, bringing what they can to Merthyr Tydfil. So I just wanted to add that as a point there, Chair. Thank you for that. And thank you to Alan and the team. And of course, to all of our officers and those dealing especially with the remedial action after Storm Dennis as well. So thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any other observations, please?
Yeah, no more comments, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. Can we take that to the vote then, please?
Yeah. Would all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands on screen? That's gone through, Chair.
Thank you. We move on to item number 5, which is becoming the Andrew Barry Show. You heard a pilot report for Corporate Risk Register 2019 to 2020. Over to you, Councillor Barry.
Thank you very much, Chair. Highlight report for the Corporate Risk Register 1920. Along with Cabinet audit, along with Cabinet resolved to have these highlight reports brought regularly to Cabinet to focus on risk. The report at Appendix 1 highlights the risks identified up to the 28th of August 2020 And I hesitate to say, but could we have any more thrown at us over this last 12 months? So out of austerity into Storm Dennis, out of Storm Dennis into COVID-19 pandemic. And this is an opportunity, I think, to say that this authority has performed at unprecedented levels through all of that, from revenues to regen, finance to IT, social services to education. An unbelievable effort and commitment by all. So well done to all our staff, and not least the third sector and the residents of the authority. From the last 12 months, it appears there's nothing you can throw at this authority we can't deal with, and we just seem to be getting stronger. So the report identifies at the moment our risks are within finance, reputation, cyber attacks, school attainment, capacity, governance, Brexit, remember Brexit all those years ago, safeguarding, performance, and pandemic. And the recommendations, Chair, at 2.1, progress on the management of the Council's corporate risks for 2019-20 and highlight reports for the corporate risk register for 19-20 as at the 31st of March 2020 be approved. 2.2, the progress made in monitoring and mitigating corporate risks up to the 28th of August be noted. And 2.3, an additional corporate risk relating to the coronavirus pandemic be approved. I move, Chair.
Do we have a seconder?
No, any questions first, Chair?
I haven't seconded it yet. Shall I second it now? Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chair. I'd like to second that, Chair. Sorry.
Sorry, okay. My fault.
It's all right, no worries. Any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you. Any observations or comments? I can see Councillor Thomas, Geraint Thomas, with his hand up. It's been a very silent meeting for him. So we're interested to hear what you're going to say, Councillor Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Obviously, going through this pandemic now and COVID, there's a lot of pressure on the public transport network, particularly on the commercial operators. I would like the officers, perhaps when we draw up the next risk register, to put public transport on the agenda, because I think there's a lot of our bus companies in particular out there that are struggling this moment in time, and further lockdowns and further time travelled through this pandemic. I think we might see a lot of companies really suffering, and I think it could be a risk to the public realm and to people getting back and forth to work.
Okay, thank you, Councillor. And if we ask that be an action that we can carry forward. Any other observations from members?
No more comments, Chair.
Okay, can we take that to the vote, please?
Yeah, would all councillors in agreement with the recommendation raise their hands? Yeah, that's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. If we can now move on to item number 6, and that's the Welsh Language Annual Report 2020. And once again, could I ask Councillor Andrew Barry to propose this one?
Chair, if it's okay with the committee, with the Cabinet, Councillor Chris Davis will take this report, being our Welsh champion, our Welsh language champion.
Okay, I'm happy to hear those dulcet tones of Chris Davis on his favourite subject. Thank you.
Diolch, Cadeirydd. Thank you, Chair. Mae'n y pleser I fi fel y Campwr y Iaith Gymraeg I gyflwyno'r adroddiad monitro blynyddol Cymraeg I Cabinet prynawn yma. It is a pleasure for me as the Welsh Language Champion to introduce the Welsh Language Annual Monitoring Report to Cabinet this afternoon. Baswn ni'n hoffi dweud diolch I swyddog iaith ni, Angharad Jones, to Andrew Mogford and Matthew Rivers in Corporate Services. Also to Sue Walker, Chair, for her leadership with the Welsh Education Forum and the Welsh Education Strategic Plan, and to our partners and schools who support the development of Welsh language across and within the borough. And obviously to the staff across the council, my cabinet and councillor colleagues for their enthusiasm and commitment to the Welsh language. It's fair to say, Chair, mae'n bendant partneriaeth arbennig o dda sy'n datblygu. It's definitely a special partnership that's developing. So, Chair, the report this afternoon covers our activities to promote Welsh language, including our mystery shopper programme, work with the Youth on sports development, our really fantastic staff champions, Welsh Language Network, our Diwrnod Shwmai event last year with schools, our event with the Deputy Welsh Language Commissioner in the Merthyr College for St David's Day, our work with Learn Welsh, dysgu Cymraeg Morgannwg, and obviously the report details the numbers of Welsh learners and Welsh speaking staff across the council. The report also covers our compliance on the standards under the Welsh Language Measure, and I'm pleased to say that no compliance issues have been identified, although Chair and councillors, we won't rest on our laurels. As there's more work to do, but da iawn I bawb, well done to everybody. Rydyn ni'n cyllino a lot o digwyddiadau gyffrous iawn ar gyfer blwyddyn yma a blwyddyn nesaf I gwthio Cymraeg ym Merthyr. We are planning a lot of really exciting events for this year and next year to push forward the Welsh language in Merthyr Tydfil. I'm really pleased with the commitment from Cabinet and the CMT supporting this work moving forward. So in saying, diolch I bawb am I gefnogaeth. Thank you to everyone for their support. I'd like to move to the recommendations, subject to questions and comments at 2.1, that the report be accepted and approved. Thank you. Diolch yn fawr.
Thank you, Councillor. Diolch yn fawr. Have we got a seconder?
I second that, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, no questions, Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any observations or comments? Councillor Geraint Thomas.
Chair, ansbardegaethus. Mae report yn da iawn. I'd like to offer a personal thank you really to Anne Harrod. She's done a tremendous amount of work through the last year, you know, helping set up, you know, Welsh-speaking clubs outside of the council. Like, you know, she's been heavily involved in dysgu Cymraeg Calvaria and Hilgerig, and I think she's done a hell of a lot of work for us. And I think she's a you know, an undervalued member of staff in the local authority, and I think she holds a real special position. Right, so you know, thank you very much, da iawn, Anne Harrod. Diolch yn fawr iawn.
Thank you, Geraint. Any other observations or comments?
No more comments, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. If there's no more comments, we shall take it to the vote.
Yeah, would all councillors in agreement please raise their hands? 1, 2, 3. That's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Geraint. If we can move then to item number 7, which is the Cwm Taff Morgannwg COVID-19 Prevention and Response Plan. And this will be the report presented by the Interim Chief Executive, Mr. Ellis Cooper.
Good afternoon, thank you, Leader. If I just take you through this very timely report. So the summary of the report, the purpose is to seek the Council's endorsement of the COVID-19 Prevention and Response Plan for the Cwm Taff Morgannwg region. The 3 councils and the University Health Board within the Cwm Taff Morgannwg region must have a coherent and robust plan setting out the region's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, and importantly, the actions we now intend to take forward to prevent a further spread of the infection. In 1.3, it sets out in the joint letter from the Welsh Government Chief Medical Officer, NHS Wales Chief Executive and Director of Local Government on the 27th of July, local health boards were asked to take the lead on the development of a local COVID-19 prevention and response plan in partnership with local authority chief executives and the directors of public protection. In endorsing the local COVID-19 prevention and response plan, the council will be acknowledging the work that has been taken forward to date to protect our residents and communities, and will also be putting in place robust arrangements for the ongoing management and implications of the pandemic within Cwm Taff Morgannwg. If I take members to just a point of note, section 4.5, any decisions made by the council to impose local restrictions will be made in accordance with the council's constitution and scheme of delegation, including powers in the event of emergency. Any key strategic decisions, such as the closure of public services or imposition of local restrictions, will be made by the leader and cabinet, or in an emergency by way of an urgent executive decision. If I take you through to the recommendations of 2.1, 2.1, the endorsement of the Cwmtach Morgana COVID-19 Prevention Response Plan be approved, and 2.2, the Deputy Chief Executive regularly reviews and updates the COVID-19 Prevention and Response Plan to include changes in Welsh Government guidance and to incorporate the lessons learned in responding to the virus locally, nationally and internationally be approved. I so commit.
I'll need someone else to move it, Ellis.
Yeah, I'll move it then, Monitoring Officer, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And do we have a seconder?
Second that then, Chair.
Okay. Any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Any observations?
Yeah. Councillor Mitten.
Oh, Councillor Lisa Mitten. I get confused that the glamorous photograph that comes on.
Isn't it much better than seeing me in my glasses here with Ben?
Can you do one like that for Geraint Thomas, please?
I will certainly, leader, definitely. I shall take over the photography. No, on a serious matter, just like to thank our Chief Executive for that update in the paper as well. And I know we've had regular briefings in relation to all these matters related to COVID. So again, all of our senior corporate team and the Chief Exec, and of course, Kerry Dinham in comms as well, really a shout out and thanks to them for keeping us abreast of all the situation as it changes daily or hour by hour even. But this paper that's come before us now, does give us, all of the information that we need in the plans going forward, etc. So thank you to everybody, Alan and Ellis. Thank you.
Are there any other further observations or comments? I can see. Is that Andrew? I can see something. Andrew Barry, are you flashing on there?
No, I'm flashing, but it's got nothing to do with the screen.
At that juncture,
no further comments, Chair.
If you bear with me, I want to make a short comment in the sense of this summer I did a short film for MT Boyth. No, it wasn't. It was Dowlhouse in relation to my favourite book, and it has the first two lines. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Tale of Two Cities. Well, we've had the worst of times, but I think we've done the best of work, to be honest with you. When our staff, our officers, our elected members and communities have really come up to the pale, and this COVID stuff isn't going away. In fact, it's changing as the weeks go forward. And as we consider further lockdown measures, I must be in my position confident in how we will deal with those and how we will move forward based on the excellent work so far. So I just wanted to make that comment. If there's nobody else who wants to say anything. No, nobody else? Okay, shall we take it to the vote?
Yeah, so could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? That's carried, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Geraint. Now the next item I've got is item 8. Is this one is a report, or is this something that's going to go through the motions? It's not clear on my dummy sheet here. Is this been presented?
It's a report, Chair.
So it's just a report. We don't do anything with this one?
It needs to be voted on, Chair.
Oh, it does.
Forward,
yes.
Yeah, it wasn't clear on mine. So just to be clear, I got item 8, item 9, item 10, item 11, item 12, item 13, item 14, and then we got 15, 16 that are just for observations. Yeah, for
that's correct, Chair.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. There was a bit of a hiccup in my dummy sheet then. Okay, if we go to item 8, which is Cyfarthfa 64 byway open to all traffic, Councillor Geraint Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Chair and the rest of my cabinet colleagues, as you know, we've worked a long time trying to get this road altered at the top of Ilgerig. I know the residents of Ilgerig are going to welcome this report coming to Cabinet today. The byway open to all traffic of Cyfarthfa 64 is recorded on the Council's definitive map and statement. It runs from the top of Ilgerig Road to the maintainable highway ends to the county boundary with Rhondda Cynon. A large amount of flight tipping occurs along the edge of this byway open to all traffic, and in order to attempt to alleviate this, a road traffic regulation order is proposed. This will protect the immunity of the area. Should an order be made, it will become an offence to drive a mechanically propelled vehicle on the route, and it will be a matter for the police authority enforce the order. Now, if you look through the report, Chair, you can see that the Cyfarthfa Community Group and Keep Wales Tidy have cleaned up that area on numerous occasions, and I've been involved in that. So there is a cost implication to doing this, for bringing the order to the courts, and it's between £1,000 and £1,500. But now I'd like to go straight to the recommendations, Chair. So when I get to it, set out in 2.1 and 2.2, the necessary consultations with any persons or organisations likely to be affected by the order, and with all statutory consultees be undertaken. Following the consultation process, that an order be made under Section 1 Road Traffic Regulations Act 1984 to prevent the use of the byway open to all traffic by mechanically propelled vehicles, and the necessary statutory procedures to make that order be followed. I so move, Chair.
And do we have a seconder?
Yes, Chair, I second that.
Do we have any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you, Geraint. Do we have any comments or observations?
Yes, Chair, if that's okay.
Councillor Barry?
It's a travesty, really, that because of some irresponsible individuals, we have to take measures that penalise the majority in terms of the area. It's a long-standing issue with us. I know Geraint has spent a lot of time up there clearing that area up, as is the groups up there, and Keep Wales Tidy. And I just think, again, we come back to the issue that we need law enforcement to be as severe as they possibly can, and the judicial system to ensure that they put their penalties in place to ensure that we start to restrict this blight on our land. But it's a shame that we've got to restrict the many because of the few again. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Any more comments or observations? Okay, shall we take the vote?
Councillor Hughes, Chair.
Oh, Councillor Hughes, I beg your pardon. David Hughes?
Yes, as cabinet member for neighbourhood services, I welcome this report. As many times we've had fly tipping up in that area, it's a blight on our society. I would concur with Councillor Barry about the enforcement by the police. We must send out a strong message to people of Merthyr that fly tipping will not be tolerated. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Thank you, David. Well said.
No more comments, Chair.
No more comments. Okay, shall we take it to the vote, please?
Yeah, if all councillors could, in agreement, please vote, please. Yeah, that's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. Then if we move on to item number 9, that's the Local Transport Fund 2020 to 21. And once again, Councillor Geraint Thomas.
Yeah, real good news for the local authority, Chair. You can see in the summary report, £13.71 million has been awarded to the council by the Welsh Government from the Local Transport Fund, Local Transport Network Fund, Ultra Low Emission Vehicle Fund, Resilient Roads Fund, and the Active Travel Fund. This will enable the development and delivery of various local and regional transportation projects, which we as a local authority, Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council, lead on for the Cardiff Capital Region area. So it's a great bit of work done by our portfolio, the regeneration side of it, to bring this money into the local authority, which will enhance a lot of different avenues in Merthyr. And obviously one of the important ones is the Metro Plus programme and the active travel as well. So if I can go straight to the recommendations in 2.1, the award of funding identified in the report be approved, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have a seconder?
Yes, I second that. Thank you, Chair.
Any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you. Any observations?
Yeah. No comments, Chair.
Thank you. Can we take it to the vote?
Yeah, all councillors in agreement with the recommendation, please raise their hands. Missing one. That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. If we move on to item number 10, which is the Town Centre Regeneration Grants COVID-19 response. Once again, Councillor Geraint Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. The Regeneration Housing team has had the opportunity to secure funding in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The Minister and Deputy Minister of Housing and Local Government in July approved the proposal to repurpose elements of the Transforming Towns 2020-21 budget allocation to allow local authority partners across Wales a much greater degree of flexibility in adapting to the comprehensive social distancing changes required in town centre as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. A total of £365,000 has been requested from the Transforming Towns thematic COVID-19 response, and Merthyr Tydfil are currently awaiting an offer letter from Rhondda and Taff CBC, which would administer the fund on behalf of the Welsh Government. In May 2020, the Deputy Minister for Economy and Transport invited expressions of interest from local authorities to introduce a range of measures to improve the safety and comfort of sustainable transport modes during the current crisis, to encourage more people to make walking and cycling journeys now and in the future. A total of £414,000 has been requested for the local Sustainable Transport Measures COVID-19 Fund. An offer letter was received by Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council in June 2020. Both grants are a capital fund only, so any revenue funding is being considered as ineligible. Chair, we need this money at this moment of time to help our businesses and our town centre survive this pandemic. So I'll go straight to the recommendations in 2.1. The award of funding for both Welsh Government funded programmes be approved. I so move, Chair.
Do we have a seconder?
Yes, wholeheartedly second that, Leader. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mitten. Do we have any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you. Do we have any observations or comments? Councillor Andrew Barry.
At the risk of sounding like, for those who are old enough to remember, Leighton Smart in this authority, I trust we'll be looking after the south of the valley as well as the north.
Thank you, Councillor. That was a short interruption for you. Anybody else?
Yeah.
No.
It's for town centres only, so it would be for Merthyr Tydfil Town Centre and for Treharris.
All right.
Excellent news. Excellent news.
Thank you for that clarity, Geraint. That's really an important point. Thank you for that. So,
no further
any more
comments.
observations? No. Okay. Nope. Should we take it to the vote?
Yeah. Could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation raise their hands? That's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. We'll go to now item number 11. I've seen his screen light up. I feel almost excited for the next item. Inspection report. Prevention and promotion of independence of older adults. Yes, it's Councillor Chris Davis.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mawr Alwynedd. Thank you, Chair. Members will be familiar with this report because following the national review of how local authorities provided support for older people and promoted independence, we were inspected back in December last year, and this initial action plan was brought to Cabinet in February. I'm really grateful to Angela and her team for bringing an update to us, Chair. Section 6 of the report details the priorities for improvement and the updates. It's fair to say, obviously, COVID has come and been a very busy time for us. So we haven't achieved everything we would have hoped to in the plan, but it's very much something that is ongoing and is going to be worked on by the department. I just like to put on record my continued thanks to all officers in social services, management and frontline, and obviously those working in the independent sector for obviously their support to continuing to promote the independence of older adults and our prevention service across the borough during COVID. And just say really that Lisa Curtis-Jones, our Chief Officer, and her team have kept a very close and open dialogue with Care Inspectorate Wales, who inspected us back in December, with obviously your colleagues in the Association of Directors of Social Services and the Welsh Government throughout COVID, working really hard to try and get the best outcomes for all of the people of Wales, but more importantly for us, the residents of Merthyr Tydfil. So I'll move to the recommendations contained at 2.1 of the report, is that the contents of the reports be noted, Chair. Thank you.
Do we have a member to second that, please?
Yes, I second that, Chair. Thank you.
Do we have any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Thank you. Any observations or comments?
Councillor Hughes.
Councillor Hughes.
I'd like to put on record how hard the teams have worked through this pandemic in keeping the safeguarding of both children and adults. And I just like to pass on my thanks as Cabinet Member of Neighbourhood and as a Cabinet Member for Merthyr Tydfil Borough Council, and on behalf of all the people in my ward, by the way the staff in social services have worked throughout this time.
Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Anybody else wish to make any comments? Okay, I'd just like to say that where many people have had the opportunity to stay at home and work from home, a great many of the social service staff haven't had that opportunity, and in the most difficult of times have really come up to the mark. So I support the comments of Councillor Hughes as well. So shall we take that to the vote?
Yeah, could all councillors in agreement to the recommendation please raise their hands? Yeah, that's carried, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. We'll move on to item number 12, which is the Parenting Partnership Plan 2020 to 2023, consultation outcomes. Councillor Lisa Mitten.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'm really pleased to bring this back to you. The summary of the report is, of course, that in February this year, agreement was sought from Cabinet to undertake a consultation with additional key organisations and partners on a proposed parenting partnership plan 2020 to 2023 for Merthyr Tydfil County Borough Council. This report explains the consultation process and provides a summary of the main outcomes. It was hard to engage with everybody. The report actually depicts that, but it is a fantastic report that's been put together. And obviously, if you've had a chance to have a look through, I hope you have, a really good parenting partnership plan for us as a county borough. Really detailed, great information in there, and obviously strategic for us to work through and work forward for 2020-2023. So I'll go straight to the recommendations, which are 2.1, the proposed amendments to the draft parenting partnership plan. It's a lot to say and get out. 2020-2023. As a result of the further consultation, are noted, and that the plan be approved so that we can get that out to everybody.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have a seconder?
Second, Chair.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, no questions, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Any observations or comments? I can see Chris Davis, a light on.
Thank you very much, Chair. Like Councillor Mitten, I really welcome obviously this PPP, the Parent Partnership Plan, and the huge amount of work put into it by officers across the authority, obviously led by the wellbeing team. It's really interesting to note and to see that 100% of the people who engaged in the consultation supported the vision, because a huge amount of work was done in co-production with everybody to put that together. So, you know, my thanks and congratulations to everybody. It's a good piece of work. Chair, I think it's fair to say getting parenting right is integral and important for us, but also more importantly for children, young people and their families. And good enough parenting is integral. I'd like to say that, you know, as an authority, since this administration, we've invested at the front door, our journey. We heard earlier this week in our workshop, Early Help Hub, you know, having that support for people, all of those assessments, that timely assessments that were done, all of those outcomes for children that were met without statutory intervention, supporting families, supporting children and young people at the right time, reduces the need for statutory service intervention, which is really where we want to be. We want to be supporting people when they need the support and when they need the help. And this plan will go a long way to helping us achieve those aims. So congratulations, well done, and Diane and diolch to everybody involved.
Okay, thank you for that, Councillor. Anybody else would like to add any comments or observations?
Yeah, No more comments, Chair.
Thank you, Monitoring Officer. We'll take it to the vote then, please.
Yeah, would all councillors in agreement please raise their hands? That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to item 13, prevention and performance of young people not in education, employment or training. Councillor Lisa Mitten, please.
Thank you, Chair. Another really good report from my team, I have to say. You know, this is vitally important for our young people and for the county borough again, you know, a group of people who really need focus from us. The summary of the report shows that it outlines how the local authority has performed with regards to NEET prevention and how it continues to support those young people identified through the early identification toolkit, the EIT, as the highest risk of becoming NEET. And the report provides an update on the progress of the second year of the NEET strategy. That is our 18 to 21 strategy that we had in place, and the key priorities to be taken forward into the third year of that strategy. The recommendations are at 2.1. Further work is undertaken across the Learning Department to review the increase in IOTAS numbers and the impact on the work of the Learning Department and partners can be mitigated. And 2.2, a multi-agency task and finish group to review and agree new and early identification toolkits for both Key Stage 2, Key Stages 3 and Key Stage 4 due to data changes or availability, and that is to be established. And so I move that report.
Can we have a seconder, please?
Second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Do we have any questions?
Yeah, no questions, Chair.
Thank you. Any observations or comments? Chris Davis and Councillor Geraint-Thomas.
Thank you, Chair. Like Councillor Mitten, I really welcome the investment of officers' time that's been put in this really comprehensive report together. These are some of the county borough's most potentially vulnerable children and young people who do drop out sometimes of education. So to have the NEET steering group, the NEET strategy and a strong focus from the youth service team on this is really important. I work with Careers Wales, I work with our schools. I've recently taken over, Chair, the management committee of the pupil referral unit. We are hugely committed towards achieving the best outcomes for some of our young people there, working with special tuition programme with Chris and his team to get the best outcomes for our young people in this county borough. So thanks to Chris and his team for this report, and anything that I can do as children's champion and chair of corporate parenting board, and obviously in my role as the management committee chair of the PRU, we want to get behind and support this to support our young people. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, I welcome this report as well because, again, within this period now of high youth unemployment in the area due to the COVID pandemic, and I think any qualifications these children can get by leaving school will obviously help them get in future employment in the borough and further afield. So it's a must, so I really welcome this report.
Thank you, Councillor. Do we have any more observations or comments?
Yeah, no further comments, Chair.
Thank you, Geraint. We'll take it to the vote.
Yeah, could all councillors in agreement with the recommendation please raise their hands? As carried, Chair.
Thank you for that. We move on to item 14, which is to consider the report of the Chief Officer of Education, Family First Performance. Councillor Lisa Mitten.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to my colleagues for the comments on the last two reports as well. Really appreciated, and I know Sue and Chris and the team will take those on board as well. So thank you for that. Again, another report from Chris and James. Families First Performance. The summary is there. I really do want to read this through, so I'll run through it. 1.1. To update elected members on the purpose and performance of the Families First programme, which is an integral part of the funding flexibility agenda managed through community wellbeing. The programme plays a key role in supporting prevention alongside other key programmes within the Community Wellbeing Department and in partnership with a range of internal departments and, of course, third sector organisations across this borough. Performance data has not been produced and published at a national level since 2017, even though this is submitted to Welsh Government. However, a strategic outcomes framework remains in place to judge performance, with some of these data sets being embedded within the Best Start SOAP and the Community Wellbeing SOAP. So at 1.3 as well, it also outlines the main service developments that have taken place over the period since the commissioning of the services. This shows that this has enabled a greater access to services without impacting on escalation rates into social services. Families First has also played a key part in realigning resources to priorities through grant maximisation across funding flexibility, as shown in the financial implications. However, due to COVID-19, there has not been the opportunity to undertake a full review of the programme with partners during the early part of 2020-21 to inform future commissioning. I'll go on to the recommendations there then. They are that 2.1, due to the impact of COVID-19 and subject to funding being available to undertake a wider partnership review and full partnership commissioning approach, the current contracts across Families First to be extended into 2022. And I so move, Chair.
Do we have a seconder, please?
Second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Barry. Do we have any questions?
No questions, Chair.
Any observations or comments? I've got Councillor Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Again, some really great reports from Schools Department and Community Wellbeing Service today. This is certainly a really comprehensive and really detailed report, and I'm really pleased to see the embedding of the results-based accountability approach, evidencing fantastic performance at Table 1 and Table 2 in terms of our TAF and AMIA work across obviously commissioned services. The report talks about integrated commissioning, and I think, you know, we're something that working with the third sector, working in partnership, we can do. We're doing good, but I think we can do better. So there's opportunities for us to revisit maybe things like Commissioned Accomplished, which is a piece of work that was done a number of years ago. I think it's integral, Chair, as we've moved forward, given the challenges that COVID presents and actually the you know, the lack of, you know, huge monies that are needed into areas like Merthyr Tydfil from places like the Welsh Government, that people are really going to struggle, that we do look to how we align our services in the council. We've put a significant investment into early intervention and prevention services in this council. We've got to line things up, and we've got to make sure we support the front door of the council to achieve the best outcomes and get the support for children, young people and families. Really welcome this support and the hard work, and obviously further discussions as we move forward to make sure services are lined up to meet the needs of the people of the county borough.
Thank you, Councillor Davis. Any other comments or observations?
No further comments, Chair.
Thank you, Geraint. Can we take it to the vote, please?
Yeah, could all councillors in agreement please raise their hands? That's carried, Chair.
Thank you. As we move on to item 15, this is an information report which will not be debated, so we'll move on to item 16. Are there any business deemed urgent? No. Okay, thank you. That then closes the meeting. Diolch yn fawr.